The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Floating high off the southern tip of New York's Lake Seneca, you're looking down at Watkins Glen International, which today plays host to round 5 of 7 in the Formula Neagle schedule. Sanctioned by the Absolute Beginners League, and with all the action from green flag to victory donuts being brought to you live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. This quarter-hour streaming award-worthy pre-race show will count down to when the engines in our field of Skip Barber open-wheelers begin to sing. And when the lights go off, the smoke will rise and they accelerate away from the standing start, starting the clock for this 70-minute contest. So get your internet feed routed to your home theater system, pour yourself a Rattlesnake's Rosie's Forbidden Apple Pie whiskey, grab a spinach and feta stuffed pretzel, and when your feet are up in the recliner, you'll be ready for the simulated open-wheel road course action that will be streaming your way. From the Empire State, welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soups On. Helping me call the action is our Skippy aficionado, Joe Peak. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Amjad Yaman, and at his disposal, as always, are the camera locations provided by the Ansel Adams of iRacing, Dougie Beard. Well, it took 4 events before Formula Neagle saw its first 2-time winner. Not surprisingly, the feat was accomplished by the Roland Estonian, the reigning champ, Aeronum. The podium looked familiar with fellow Bushfink stablemates Johan Hallberg and Ricard Allard bookending the winner. Those 3 drivers have filled 11 of a possible 12 podiums so far this season. The only time anyone else got to celebrate at a little higher altitude was Johan van de Velde after his victory at Summit Point. Now, van de Velde has a couple fourths to go along with Eric Lukal and Vincent Bream. And if anybody is going to try to break into the podium today, this is a great track. This should afford them a great opportunity for the rest of the field. Wouldn't you say, Joe? For the rest of the field, stay close to the front.
Certainly, Bill. If we're going to see any surprise names up in the top 3, today's probably among the best chances for it to happen. Even in higher-powered cars, the Glen's classic course layout offers a lot of drafting opportunities. And with the Skippy punching a huge hole in there, it's likely to keep plenty of drivers in play until the dying stages. It's got a scant 7 turns over its 2.5 miles. Most of those are medium and high-speed turns, too, so anybody who takes on any damage to their aerodynamics won't be having a fun day. If for whatever reason you feel like you need to outbrake someone, and I really wouldn't recommend that being your plan of attack, the 90 and the carousel are your best bet. But viewers are more likely to be treated to 2 and 3 wide battles erupting down the backstretch in the lead up to Indianapolis. Oval fans will be pretty familiar with this layout, sans the inner loop due to its 30 years of use with NASCAR. But for those who may not know about this shorter version, let's head to the lap guide for an onboard look. Alright, we've got Samuel Ryman in the GSRC Skippy, so let's do a lap around Watkins Glen. We're going to plunge steeply downhill into turn 1, which is called the 90. This is easily the most important corner on the track, but also a good passing zone. You'll see lots of runoff to your left, but it's still possible to push too hard, understeer, and lose tons of time. And that's why this turn is so critical, because as we head up the S's, you'll notice we never lift off the gas. Whatever momentum you carry or don't carry off of turn 1 is going to haunt you all the way to the carousel. Once you hit the top of the hill, here's where it gets really interesting. These cars carry a huge draft around here, and any driver within half a second of you is going to be able to pull alongside and possibly even attempt to pass. Expect drivers to have to think strategically if they don't want to have to swap places back and forth every lap. Now we tackle the carousel. This corner is almost a full 180 degrees, and it's got quite a lot of banking. But because of how long it goes on, you really don't want to stamp on the power too soon, because once again, you'll understeer off into the grass on the exit. This track is so simple and this car lacks so much power, it's all about carrying every bit of momentum out of every corner around here. Now comes Indianapolis. You won't scrub off a whole lot of speed, and you need to be as precise as you can on the apex to really use that groove. Don't put your wheels in the dirt because the walls get very tight here. And finally, there's the last turn, which starts to feel like a street course with the way you have to take it right up to the tire barrier. But if you manage not to plow into that, all you need to do is straighten the car and carry it to the line as you finish a lap around Watkins Glen.
Samuel Ryman taking us on a lap around this classic configuration of Watkins Glen. A configuration, I think, that kind of takes the claws out of what can be a bear of a track. But let's go ahead and look at something else about the drivers who are trying to claw their way to a championship. Let's start by looking at the drivers' points. Now, the Roland Estonian Aaron Num got back on top last race and then stretched his lead a few more points over Johan Halberg, who remains in second. Ricard Allard has tallied 3 third-place finishes along with 1 second-place finish, but all it gets him is third overall and 10 points back of the lead. Johan van de Velde and Vincent Brame swapped positions, but the big mover was Pierce Cockey, who had a 6th-place finish, finally had a good one at Barber Park, shot him up 9 places in the standings. If we move over to the team championship, at Barber, Bush Finks Yellows Ricard Allard and Johan Blix combined for 26 points to win the day and increase their point lead by 6 over Errol Num, who has a solo entry for Bush Fink Pink. Now, another Bush Fink solo effort is the green flavored team manned by Johan Halberg, which moved past DBR Two Stupid's Dogs. The uneducated canines are comprised by Wojciech Podosek and Vincent Bream. Also, Johan van de Velde and Liam Quinn have DBR Team Talent up in 5th position. So, Joe, we've talked about the track, we've talked about the Drivers' Championship and the Team Championship. Let's take a second to go over some of the race-specific details.
Absolutely. As always, we're in the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car, the open wheeler. And the race length today, this is going to be a long one. We've got a 70-minute race. The qualifying is a 3-lap solo session that they are out there doing right now, which is important here on a track where the draft is oh so critical to fast times. So these guys have to do it all by themselves. Setups are open in this car. There's not a lot that you can really do to the Skippy to really tune it to your satisfaction, but what little can be important to really getting those last couple tenths out of this machine. There is no fast repairs. That's the big one in this series. And in a race like today, where you really got to keep the car pristine to get the fastest laps possible, especially if you wind up by yourself to try and get fast laps in, it's going to be very important. You can't come back and get a spare car and get it all back in perfect order. So guys who keep their car in good working condition will have a much better advantage. Fuel is 65%. That means we're going to have 1 stop today. However, going to be a very small pit window, which means that keeping your fuel in order as well is going to be very important throughout the race, especially with that draft, giving you an opportunity to try to save some. Incident cap, as you saw in the graphic, is 24 incidents, and as we saw before, drivers are going to have to watch out for that, as you could run afoul of having too many incidents and get disqualified. Big one, though, today, Bill, the weather. It's mostly cloudy, air is at 78, but the track temperature, 88 degrees. That's pretty cool for this series. That means on a track that you said, it lacked the claws, there's not a lot of difficulty in this layout. It's going to be even more just point and shoot, and guys are just going to be mashing that power down as early as possible with a lot of grip out there today.
Well, let's talk about another factor here. Length of the track and the race distance of 70 minutes might bring traffic into play.
Yeah, very much so. It's not a long lap, like I said, with only 7 corners out there, you're going to see guys run across slower drivers pretty quickly. Now, the good news on that is that with it being such a simple layout, Bill, it should be easy to move out of the way. Now, the question is whether guys are actually going to lift, because if they're in a battle, I don't think they're really going to want to let the guy ahead of them get by just to let the leaders, play through like it's a game of golf. So watch out to see who lifts and when, if you run into trouble, and if they make contact with anybody who's not willing to pull out of the way and force them to go too wide through some of these corners.
And this series is notorious for having great competition, not just up at front, but all the way through the field. And we'll try to cover as much of that as we can. Let's talk a second. So many times we've seen races decided by the pit stop. So let's talk a little bit about that and fuel strategy.
Yeah, fuel strategy, as we said, unfortunately, I didn't get the numbers from the drivers. I don't know how many laps they're going to be going, but as we said, it's going to be a tight pit window. And I think really anybody who plays it smart and tries to wait behind whatever pack they're behind for as long as possible, not try to make moves in the first half and just hold on, those are the guys you're going to see make big leaps, potentially put themselves out all alone. Now, that can be a disadvantage if you're by yourself. But, maybe you see two guys save together and play team strategy and be able to leapfrog them and be by themselves during the second half and get an advantage.
A driver notorious for doing that, as we talked about him, he has so many third-place finishes, is Ricardo Lard. Watch out for him. We'll keep an eye on him. Watch out for him to be sitting back behind the leaders and saving fuel, maybe trying to make the jump when they make their pit stop. Let's make sure he is actually racing here today, though. As I mentioned that, I think he is. I don't see him on the chart. Joe, do you?
I'm not seeing it here.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Quick. Yeah.
He has not. He has not missed a race yet. Let's go ahead and talk one more thing. Then, let's see. Let's go ahead and make your picks. It's time for our fan favorite segment, where Peak's Podium Picks. He's going to get to choose the order. He got lucky. Joe hit last time. I don't know if it was luck or not, but he's nailed. Let's see if he can do two in a row. Go ahead, Joe.
My dad always said I'd rather be lucky than good, so I'll say that here. Today it's really going to take some luck because it's a crapshoot out there. You really don't know who's going to be up at the top. Going by qualifying, Aero had some trouble here last time, so I don't know if he's really going to be at the top. So, you know what? I think Tuan Tran's been due for a win. He's usually pretty good here, so let's go for Tuan Tran for the win. I think Hallberg for second, and then Noom for third.
And we look over, usually we can get an idea about how the drivers are looking at their practice or practice times, but that didn't help as much. Qualifying time, yep, Noom's out there in front. Are we ready to call up the grid jet director? I think we can call it up now because this is a standing start, so we kind of have to hustle our way through here. Fairly large field here today of about 31 cars, so boy, it's a nice field. All right. Looking on the pole, if this holds true, and I believe it is going to, it's going to be Aaron Num. That's really no surprise. But look at who is in second position up there. It's Miguel Engstrom. Nice finish from him. Good to see Tuan Tran inside of row 2 with Johan Hallberg outside of him. The third row is going to be made up of Johan Blixt and Wojciech Podolsek. Eric Lukel inside of row 4, and on the outside, Adrian Garcia Cruz. He's always exciting to watch. Bastian Hausman in the 9th position, and rounding out the 5th row on the outside, Vincent Braham. Joe?
David Burns is going to be starting row 6 in 11th, and Johan Vandenbelt in 12th. Henrik Bergman is going to be starting 13th. Piers Kaki, well down the order, starting 14th. Let's see if he can make another run to the front, get himself a good finish. Stefan Schmidt is going to be starting 15th with William Martins da Silva in 16th. Frederick Neptune, he was up there in the practice times, not so in qualifying. He is starting 17th. Joachim Lundgren in 18th. Liam Quinn in 19th. And rounding out the top 20, Bill, we've got Adam Bradshaw.
In the blackjack position, Carl Jansen back there. There's a new name for us. David Tejeda. In the double deuce position, Michael Key in 23rd. Daniel Kruger in 24th. And then we round out the back of the field. Darren Boltron, Scott Brazier, Scott Butler back there in 27th position. Michael Parks, Edgar Sanchinelli in 29th, 30, and 31st go to Dale Smith and Adam Olenson. 31 cars here today, Joe. That's a great size field for this group.
Oh, and it's going to make it extra interesting with that many around 2.5 miles of a track. And a 70-minute race, too. You know, the length of it is going to come into how many times you're going to run across guys as well. So they'll really have to have their heads on a swivel. They have to pay attention, and those drivers being lapped will have to pay attention as well.
Tuan Tran finally gets his car in there in the 3rd position, so keep an eye on him. Everybody's there. Their drivers are taking their last sip. The lights are up. The engines begin to harmonize. Watch for those tires to start smoking. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn. And the Rolling Estonian, Errol Num, leads them down into the first corner. Mikael Engstrom drops into 2nd position. Tran in 3rd. Hallberg and Blix round out the top 5.
Top four know what this game is. They all move straight into line right away. They weren't trying to make any crazy moves down into the first corner. And this is where it's going to start to erupt, Bill. Up the S's, onto the back stretch. Let's see how antsy they are in these early laps to go 2 or 3 wide.
You look at that long Dougie Beard camera angle there. Everybody clean in the back. They're behaving themselves. Got a little bit of battle going on there with Liam Quinn, Stefan Schmidt, but looks like they're going to get that sorted out.
And 3 wide for the lead on the first lap, but Tuan Tran splits the middle, and he decides he wants to get up front and get that clean air, but he's not going to have it for long, Bill.
Tran was late to the grid, but quick to the lead as Tran, a former champion from Season 6, out in front of another champion, Errol Num.
Yep, Num's still in second, but he's being threatened by Engstrom. Engstrom decides, it's not worth trying to hassle down into Indianapolis. He gets into line. Car out of line is Jonas Blix. Is he going to try and squeeze in? Oh, he's timid into there. And that's Podozek going around the outside. Not easy to do in Indianapolis.
Podozek moves up to 5th position around Blix. Blix now being challenged again. There's Adrian Cruz. Nice to see him racing so high. Now Adrian Cruz being challenged by Eric Lukel on the inside.
As I said before, you really don't want to be trying to outbrake guys in here. You want to stay in line and get the draft, but I think maybe he's far enough back that this is a decent move. Let's see if we can get the draft on Blix to move up into this, I guess this is top 7 now.
And so far, the train is a long one. It goes all the way back. Nobody has lost any ground here. All the way back to Pierce Cockey in 13th.
Oh, here we go again. 3 wide for the lead, Bill. And Noom is leading the charge in the middle. Slips to the inside. Goes ahead of Tran. We got, look at this, 3 by 3. 6 cars up at the top.
As if it's a parade lap. My goodness, 2 by 2 by 2.
Man,
now moving out in front, Errol Num, but that's going to be short-lived because here comes Engstrom.
You know, we joke about this being the Talladega of road courses, but I've never seen guys go 3 deep, 2 wide through the carousel and hold position like that. That is impressive.
Something tells me a lot has to do with it. These guys are feeling really comfortable with that track temperature. Usually these cars are a handful. Right now they seem very comfortable and aggressive.
And this is what? This is the 3rd time they've been running this layout, I want to say? 3rd or 4th with these cars. I get the sense that a lot of these guys that are regulars in this series now are kind of used to this style of racing. Even though they've been going 3 wide, it doesn't feel as frantic as in past years, Bill. It looks like a lot of guys are thinking a little more strategically now.
Right now we're looking at a 14-car train all the way back to William De Silva. Everybody hanging on. And there's the battle up front again.
Yeah, this is a great showing from Engstrom. 3 wide one more time. This time it's Mikael in the middle. Oh, it's starting to get a little dicey behind them, though. That's Podozek trying to find position, almost going 3 wide down into the carousel, and they're still holding on. But it's going to be Engstrom out front after all of that. Look at that mess. Oh, my goodness.
And now, it's getting awfully close, trying to go through the middle.
Is really aggressive. Oh, man.
That is a very aggressive driver. That's Wojciech Podozek making his way through, and he found room, and now he's got that 28 machine up into 2nd position. What a move by the Polish driver.
There was just a few inches on either side of that car. You know, one of the drivers, I'm trying to remember who it was, said he was driving with a rift. I don't know if Podozek is, but he had a great judgment on trying to figure out just where he could squeeze in. But gosh, we've got an hour and 5 minutes left to go. I'm surprised he's being that aggressive.
There's some contact. That's Blix, but he's able to hang on to it. Oh, nice save.
Really good save. I think he was on 2 wheels. They just about touched wheels. We saw a puff of smoke. Let's look at the replay here.
That's Adrian Cruz that made a move on the inside.
Wow. Amazing that he held on to that. I don't know if he had any sort of suspension damage, because that was a pretty hard hit that, he came down to the concrete there. But look at the guys in front of him now, starting to go 3 wide again.
Making the middle work as Vanderbilt now takes the lead.
Ooh. Big moment from Podozek there on the inside. Gets a little squirrely.
Sorry, I was looking a pack back. we have a 4-car breakaway now as I was looking back at Vanderbilt leading the second pack. He's got to see if he can catch back up to Nome, who's running in 4th position right now. Well, that was short-lived, though, as there he moves up into 3rd.
Lead. Podizek takes it on the inside into Indianapolis. When was the last time we saw Podizek leading the race, actually?
I know
He's been having some rough seasons.
So your top 4 drivers right now, I'll get it out before it changes. Podizek, Hallberg, Num, and Engstrom. It's about a half second, then back to Vanderbilt, who's gobbling up. Boy, that draft is really, it does not take long for Vanderbilt to get caught up.
Look at this. We're back to 7 cars there at the top. Trailing them is Cruz there. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Burns is able to use this draft and get back up and make it an 8 car. First car side by side is Blixt and Neagle behind them up through the S's. That's going to hurt these guys. They're going to slow themselves down on this uphill.
Neagle on the outside, Blixt on the inside, and now thinking to go through the middle is
that Tran? Oh, whoa! Look at him go, and then there's Tran now coming up the inside.
Oh, there's some yelling going on down there. It's getting a little. Oh, and they managed to keep everybody in line. Boy, that's exciting back there.
And Newham had a bit of a moment. I don't know if he got some understeer or what. He just suddenly drifted very wide, and he lost him in a little bit of time. So he's lost touch of this pack, but he's not far enough back that I think he's lost the draft. And there he is already back up in Indianapolis.
Fell back to 7th position.
Oh, Jansen is off. He's just had a bit of a moment coming out of Indianapolis, but looks like no harm, no foul for him.
Going back,
and Quinn getting on the radio, reminding them that they're not even in the points and they're fighting hard. So I guess he's not happy with how aggressive everybody's being.
I went back to look at Newman and why he fell back to 7th. I really think, Joe, it was just a matter of this is too crazy right now. I don't need to be fighting like this. So I think he just got out of there.
And newcomer Adam Olenson, let's see, his car looks very damaged. This is coming through Indianapolis there. Did he hit anything or anybody? Oh, yeah. Oh, he got clobbered by Scott Butler, who went flying. I'm not sure if we get a replay of that. Here we go, pulling it up on the GSRC replay. You're going to see that car ahead just start to spin, and Scott has nowhere to go and takes a bit of flying lessons, unfortunately. Stays within the track, but some serious damage on that car. His day is pretty much over, I think. We're going to watch it from above here. Yeah, I think that smoke in the car ahead caused him to be a little bit unsighted, Bill. It's so tough to see what exactly is going on if a car starts spinning in front of you, because that smoke is pretty opaque now in the latest build of iRacing.
Back at the front now, it's an 8-car train. It looks like maybe that's going to separate. It's David Burns, the caboose in that, trying to pull himself away from Eric Neagle running in 9th right now. They're single file right now, but Joe, during the replay, it was 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. Those 8 cars are racing in formation. Right now, Hallberg out in front. Podizek having a great race in 2nd. And again, Num sitting back there in that lavender machine in 7th place.
I'm willing to bet you Num's going to come back into play as we go 3 wide once again up at the front. And that is that Hallberg? No, that's Vanderbilt down to the inside. Looks like he's going to be able to take first. It's going to get very tight as they almost went 3 wide into the carousel.
And how about a shout out to Adrian Cruz running now in that kind of white colored number 23 in 3rd place. Being challenged. Here comes Hallberg on the inside, though. Again, they're in formation.
No, that's Podizek actually down to the inside, and he's going to take the lead back. Remember, Cruz was the one we saw get very aggressive in the last race, especially defending. Called him a bulldog, I believe. And I wouldn't be surprised if he used the same sort of tactics here late in the race. That's got him up in the top. So he's got a chance at a win. He's got to really push and fight to get this if he wants that win, because he usually doesn't have the pace of these top guys.
Well, the playing field is leveled with such a heavy draft track. Allows a lot of people that we don't usually see up front to have a shot at it. Cruz, as we talked about, now running in 4th position.
Oh, we
behind-
almost went 3 wide behind these guys. Pierce Cocky had to chop off, who was that, Neagle, into the S's, and thankfully Neagle had his head up and got off of the power before those guys came together. But you can go 2 wide through the S's. I really wouldn't recommend 3 wide.
Cocky now is going to get passed on both sides.
Meanwhile, up at the front, around the outside, Hallberg takes the P1 spot. For those that are new to this, this car at this track, you're going to see this all day long.
You can see that front group there, and then way there back in the back, that's the battle with Neagle, Cocky. You can see them Blixt and Bergman back there.
Wow, Hallberg around the outside of Podozek in Indianapolis. That's going to give him the inside here for the final corner, and he's going to take the lead now. Now that final corner, you got to watch out. You don't really, I'm sure these guys are trying to get as fast as laps as possible, as we now see Podozek actually lift on the front stretch. And Cruz now comes up the inside down into the 90. But I was going to say that last corner, Bill, you can't be too aggressive coming out of it because this car might want to understeer. And it's almost like a street course. There's that wall right on the outside. There's no room for error. And the tires can collect you pretty easily. So with this being the draft track that we have today, you really don't want to push it too hard there.
Still an 8-car train up there. Noom, the caboose in the train. Actually, leaving. Look at the distance that he's leaving. I think he's just
He's lifting.
safe.
I bet you he's lifting. He's playing strategy now.
Really a strategy that's twofold. One, he's saving fuel most likely. Look at what's going on. They go 2x2 up front. Newham saving fuel and also saving his hairline there. So he probably feels a little less nervous.
I thought for a second that Cruz and Podozek were going to get a touch wheels. They were getting very close through the carousel. Cruz is going to be our leader. I want to say this might be his first lap led in this series.
Cruz starts to, the car starts to wiggle a little bit for Cruz. He's giving it all he's got. Hallberg in second. Podozek back there in third. Let's see if Cruz can lead him across the start-finish line.
Yeah, he's got
this.
Hallberg
with a run, but I think he's got it.
So apparently someone down the order has got a bad connection. There's some complaints about cars bouncing around, unfortunately. Someone around Dale Smith, apparently.
And that's really, the drivers have to do that because if you're the car in the car that's blinking, you don't realize it.
Not always. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you can tell cars are disappearing around you, but not always. All right, what are we going to do here now that we've got Cruz up in the front? That's, is that Hallberg? Yeah, that's Hallberg coming around the outside. Cruz actually tries to squeeze him back up the track.
Now that's Tran on the high side now. He got around 2 cars. He's looking to pass 4 cars. Tran making a move on the high side, going 3 wide. He leaves room for everybody.
And look, it's still 3 wide coming through the carousel. Tran on the very outside manages to hold on to it. Oh my goodness, these guys need to take up oval racing.
What a daring move. Tran locked back and forth now. There's that white car kind of left out of line there. That's the white car of Cruz, number 23.
Hallberg's got himself a gap here. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to pull away. Well, maybe. Let's see how aggressive he is down into the 90. These guys are going to be able to pull him in. But if he can keep this gap, I don't know if they're going to be able to catch him by the end of the back straight.
Well, just by qualifying time, Cruz was 0.2 of a second slower. So if Hallberg's got a chance to get away, I guess Cruz would be the good guy to do it. He qualified in 8th. But I just think the tow is so long that I think Cruz is in it right now.
Yeah, he's in it, but let's see how quickly he pulls up to the rear. He might be able to get side by side, but he's definitely not going to be able to slingshot past by the end of the straight here. And here we got Podozek coming up once again. He's going to make a fool of me. Here goes Cruz.
What'd you say, Joe? Oh, my goodness, there's Tran again, going in the middle.
Cruz manages to take it back.
That's something that the drivers may want to put in their notebooks for the last lap.
Yeah, maybe let the leader have have just a little bit of a gap. I wonder if maybe it was because, it's like in Talladega, they said on the restarts, you don't want to get too much of a jump because the guys will just stream on by. I wonder if it's a similar sort of phenomenon there where you've got even more of a run because, you've got that room to really get the momentum, get a head of steam going before you're up to beside them.
Yeah, and this one more thing is Cruz didn't do it by himself. He had help behind him, so maybe the draft helps him that way as well.
Oh, and we had a moment with Jonas Blixt. He is out of this race. He came together with looks like Eric Lukal in the carousel.
Yeah, Lukal.
Oh, and Lukal
and
actually
maybe
made
caught a little
contact
bit
with
of Houseman as well.
Yeah. We're gonna watch the replay. There's Blixt. It's a little bit farther back, it looks like. Yeah, here you see him coming in 3 wide into the corner. 2 of them just made the littlest of contact. And actually, I wonder if it was ghost contact because you saw him go through the car there.
And Houseman just snuck by. Looks like his car is clean.
Blixt,
no,
however,
Bastian is in. This is too early as Houseman has come in. This is too early for a pit stop.
Yeah, you want to split it 35 and 35 as close as you can with these guys. Meanwhile, back up at the front, still action going on. Podezek and Cruz. I wonder if these other guys are just willing to let these guys take the front and fight hard. Just waste their fuel, maybe.
Cruz and Podezek still side by side. Oh, they get very close. Cruz is certainly making that car wobble a little bit.
And see, look at Hallberg. He backs out of it. In fact, multiple guys there back behind them are kind of holding back just a little bit. Vandenbeld making up 1 position. And meanwhile, Cruz takes another one. Side by side up through the S's.
I think you have drivers on 2 different agendas here, Joe. You have guys who are out having fun, who are out of the point race. And then we talked about early before the pre-race, before we went on air, that Hallberg and Num, how fortunate they've been not to be caught up in anything. And Num back there in 8th position. He could be up there if he wanted to. He's got to be
might have
careful
lost
not
touch
to
with
get
these guys, though.
Yeah.
Still jockeying for position. Oh, was there a little bit of contact between Hallberg and Cruz coming in the corner? They get away with it.
Cruz in the middle thinking about splitting him, and I think he's going to do that. That's Hallberg on the outside. Podezek on the inside. Cruz up the middle. Tran watching the whole thing.
Cruz likes that outside line around Indianapolis. There's been multiple times he's been able to swing out there and keep his speed up. So we ride on board with Tran. They're in 4th position. Let's see what it's like watching these top 3 duke it out as Hallberg goes to the inside.
Boy, they are not leaving themselves a lot of room. You want to leave a little cushion just in case there's some type of net lag. You'd hate to see your race ended.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too is if something happens in front of these guys in a place like Carousel or Indianapolis or even the last corner where there's not a lot of room to try and get away from it and you're that close, it is going to be almost like Talladega again. You're going to have the big one. Everybody's going to just get caught up in it.
And there it is again.
Darren Booten goes off at...
there is no... Oh my goodness.
That was Olsen, I think. Olinson, yeah.
Olinson.
Getting out of the way.
That was a hard job. It's hard to get out of the way when they're 3 wide behind you.
Well, I think he saw that coming. He said, well, off to the grass I go. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Bill. These guys are fighting so hard. Eventually we're going to have no more monkeys jumping on the bed.
How about a shout out to the driver in 5th right now, David Burns. We haven't mentioned his name much. Having a good run. Really not mixing it up with the guys up front, just back there trying to stay in the hunt.
And look at that, Noam has caught up to these guys. He's trailing them now, he's within the draft.
It's really a game of chess, because even though Noam is very confident, boy, it's going to be hard to get around 7 cars in front of you if this keeps going when you get to the end.
Yeah, I think, you were talking, you mentioned how we we wonder when Noam's going to have a bad race. And I think this is why we don't see him have a bad race. He sees all this fighting going on, and he elects to just get out of it. Oh, car's almost making contact in the top 3 there. But yeah, he's racing smart. He's not just fast, he's got a good brain on him. We saw that from the very first race where he learned the fuel strategy. He saw how the other guys were racing as they almost made contact once again in the top 3. And he's trying to race this thing not just with raw speed, but with the best strategy.
And now making a move on the out. That's Cruz in the middle, making a move on the outside. That's Hallberg. Look at Cruz get that car loose again.
Podolak actually backed out of that one. We've seen Podolak be very strong today, trying to push up to the front. That's something when you see him go, oh, nope, I don't want anything of this.
And just to follow up on Noam, it's not only this, I think it's maybe a confidence factor. He's used to racing with Hallberg and Allard, who's not here today. We've seen them race close, but he knows those guys. I'm not sure how much confidence he has in Adrian Cruz.
Hey,
no offense to Cruz, but he just doesn't know him.
You remember, as we ride on board with Noam, you remember Pierce Cocky, we mentioned he needed a good run. Well, he's up in 9th. He's all by himself, though. He's got no one to work with. We'll see how that plays out for him if anybody comes together in this top
group.
Oh,
look at the leaders. They are actually interlocking wheels.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do this, guys, before it starts to go south. You got to give each other room here. Tuan Tran almost getting into Podolak from behind.
Hallberg and Cruz actually had the wheels interlocked. My goodness.
I'm pretty sure these guys are on a European server, with this being European based, so those guys that are relatively close can get away with that. But and a car way off. Who is that?
That's Hallberg.
That's Hallberg losing a spot. Just kept his foot in it. That's one of the things that's a little bit sad about these skippies is since it doesn't have a lot of power bill, you can get in the grass and just keep your foot in it, and you don't always really lose it.
They go around the lap bar of Michael Key. He basically pulls over, lets them by. I don't blame you, Michael.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were saying, Bill, where you've got a lot of chances to just lift and let these guys through. If he's not fighting anyone, that's good on him for realizing that we've got a huge pack. There's no reason getting mixed up in it. You're just going to cause more trouble.
Okay, it is an 8-car train now as they still go 3 wide. We apologize to all the guys in the farther back, but right now we got a row of 3 followed by a row of 2. We can't leave this action.
Well, and if anything happens where someone makes contact in these guys, we got to keep an eye on it to make sure that we catch it and Hallberg around the outside.
Adrian Cruz comes all the way across. Podolak has enough room. Cruz now trying to tuck in behind Hallberg, trying to get a run. Cruz is very aggressive. He does not like to follow. Here he goes again.
Again, none of these guys up at the top really seem to be saving a whole lot of fuel. So these guys that are hanging back in the back, like Burns has been back there a while, I want to say. Engstrom seems to have held in the back. Newham especially, well back there. Those guys, it's going to be really interesting to see when we get about 10 more minutes when they come into pit.
And again, they are close, battling for second. That's Hallberg having to go way wide. Finds his way back onto the track.
I wish we could have gotten some numbers from drivers before the race here because, with how much you're on the pedal for this lap, I mean, there's very few spots where you lift. It's pretty much only in the braking zones. I almost wonder if
maybe
they need to worry about if it becomes a two-stopper.
They run 65% fuel in both the 45-minute race and the 7-minute races. And going through the middle again. That is Hallberg on the outside. He's okay. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Joe, you're right. The pit cycle is usually, the pit window is usually pretty small on a track that isn't as full throttle.
Whoa, and a big checkup from Podolak. He isn't as brave around the outside as Cruz is. Almost caused Tuan Tran to get into him. Now we've got Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt seeing what he can do, but he makes it single file by the time they get to the last corner.
Even if it is a one-stop race, though, those guys who are sitting back there saving fuel, they all start with the same, but that doesn't mean they burn the same. So in theory, guys back there that we mentioned before, I like Burns, Engstrom, Num, all sitting back there really not working hard, should have a shorter pit stop.
Question is how much, though, because these cars really are pretty fuel efficient as it is. I mean, let's see, at 65%, they're going to, I want to say they're going to be able to do this thing on probably in the realm of like 8 gallons or something. Look at this 3 wide. Here we go again. The fan belt splits the middle.
Tran now looking back there as he backs off a little bit because there's no room for here to go. Running in fourth on the high side is Cruz. Well, if anybody's using fuel, it is Cruz.
Yeah, he's been up at the front for quite a while now. I want to say that's the first lap we've seen everybody go single file through the carousel. Oh, and we're going to go 3 wide once again. Cruz the inside. He backs out by the time they hit the braking, though.
Podolzek in third, Tran in fourth. Remember, the only drivers that are in the points chase are Hallberg and Num. Hallberg currently in fifth, Num sitting back there still running in eighth, the caboose of the train. He's got about 4.2 seconds back to the next driver. Pierce Cocky. Just to follow up, Cocky has done a great job. He's running in ninth all by himself. He's left the guys behind him.
And he's only 4 seconds back. He's not really that long of a way back, and he's still got a 6-second gap to Luco behind him. Although Luco had some contact with Blixt, wasn't it, I believe? So, and I can see the damage on Luco, so I'm pretty sure that he's going a little bit slower than normal. Maybe not a whole lot, just minor damage.
Maybe we can go on board with our points leader, Errol Num, and you can see the gap.
Back up the leaders, Cruz and Podolzek.
And they touch again as they try to bring the car back out onto the track.
And they pushed a little bit too hard. You're going to see in the replay here, 4 wide on the backstretch just didn't quite work.
That's Cruz on the inside. He gets into Podolzek. It looks like maybe Tran got into Podolzek and moved him into Cruz.
Yeah, I'm not too shocked, though. 2 of the most aggressive guys we've seen today getting into each other. There we see from the onboard.
Well, you had Cruz on the inside, and then on the high side was Vanderbilt. Well, that was fine, but then both cars tried to come through the middle.
Yeah, I wondered how long it would be before someone attempted that sort of move. And you can do it. You saw that the track is wide enough, but in sim racing, it's a lot harder to tell exactly where everybody is. And it doesn't tell you you're 4 wide. It still says you're 3 wide, so you can't always know that someone's trying to squeeze in there.
Well, apparently they didn't learn their lesson because here it comes. They go 3 wide again. Vanderbilt on the inside. Going through the middle is Burns. Hey, our new leader, David Burns. Sees part of for him. He says, okay, we got rid of a couple guys. Let me go up and lead a little bit here. Pit stops are going to be coming up any time here as they're working with 41 minutes to go.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see anybody at least for 5 more minutes unless they really are that tight on fuel and some of these top guys have to come in. And boy, tell you what now, Bill, it's going to be even worse because if they had any damage for Wojciech and Cruz, now that's going to suck up more fuel for them. So thankfully they got pretty far before they got that damage, but they were leading the whole way, and now they got to deal with that. So double whammy. That just did not pay off for them.
Well, right when that accident happened, I was talking about how far back Num was. In fact, we were going to ride on board with him there for a while because he was so far back, and you really see why. He was given as much space as he could without losing the toe.
Yeah. Well, and thank goodness those 2, kind of spun off to the side and didn't come back onto the track in front of everybody. That could have been really bad. You could have seen Pierce Cocky lead in this race.
Yeah. It is a 6-car battle now. Vanderbilt takes over the lead. And there's Tuan Tran. We've been talking about Tran due to have a good race. He's really hasn't been able to follow up on a Season 6 championship. Nice to see him running up front. Really needs a nice finish. And Tran takes over the lead. Yeah. Burns now on the high side, dropping back to third.
Just looking at my notes, we still got Tran, we still got Hallberg, we still got Noem. So I'm still holding on here.
And that gap back to Hockey now is up to 6.7. So the front six beginning to pull away.
Yeah, I think with fewer guys, and you saw the racing was not as fierce, so they're losing a little bit less time. There's less lifting
right.
Where you wouldn't normally lift, so they're going to start to stretch away. And there you can see in that shot, there's Pierre Iskaki way back on his lonesome. And I don't know if we discussed this on air. Podazek got on the chat, said he's got 30 minutes to prepare, so he is done. In fact, let's go over some of these guys as we continue to watch this lead battle. Scott Brazier, Stefan Schmidt, William Martin De Silva, Carl Jansen, Scott Butler, David Tejada, Vincent Brame, Frederick Neptune, Hendrik Bergman, and then we've also got Adam Olenson, Jonas Blixten, Darren Bouton, also I think out of this race. Podazek as well seems to be out, and I think Cruz looks to be gone as well. So what was 31 cars, I think might even be down to 19?
With 15 of them on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap, Michael Parks.
Man, that is a high attrition rate. I did not expect attrition to play a factor in this race.
Let's quickly, just because it's in our contract to do it, let's look at 10th position real quick. We're going to do it real fast. Adam Bradshaw in a little battle with Liam Quinn. Guys, we see it back there. It's just so hard to get back to you with all the action up front. Nice battle trying to get in the top 10. That's Bradshaw out in front, Quinn on the high side now with the momentum.
Wave to mom and dad because you're on TV, at least for a moment. But now we got to go to the leaders because pit stops are happening.
Looks like Hallberg is in, Engstrom is in, Noem is in.
Interesting. So, wonder if that's that. Because that's our guys that were usually behind. Well, no, Burns is the only one that was usually behind.
No, but Engstrom and of course Noem was back there the whole time too. So let's see how they come out of here.
Interesting that they're pitting early.
37. Now, this is probably right at the beginning opening of this window.
Now the undercut really isn't a worry in these cars, Bill, because as we always say, you're really not going to see guys change tires. It doesn't give you an advantage to try and swap them in. As Hallberg comes out first. What has happened?
Noem is having a bad stop.
A very
First
bad
time we've seen Noem have a bad stop.
What happened to Noem? Did he get damaged somewhere along the way? Oh, maybe a speeding penalty. Oh, that would. Didn't he? Isn't that one of the problems he had last time? He had a speeding penalty. I know he had some trouble with fuel the last race, and that gave us some drama in the final round.
Yeah, I'm watching him as he comes in.
Checking his speed here. Let me see.
He was about a car length behind Engstrom when he came into the pits.
I'm gonna look at his speed directly because we do get that data. He was hovering just at 45, 46. I'm guessing it's 45 miles an hour. He might have pushed his luck. And got a speeding penalty.
I was watching him coming down pit lane. He was actually trying to pull around a little bit around Engstrom. So, yeah. Well, there you have it. That could be a championship mistake right there. Up in front, Burns now has the lead. Vanderbilt in second, Tran in third. These guys have yet to pit.
Interesting.
I like the strategy that Noem was doing. Noem was faster in qualifying by about 0.2 of a second, Joe. Maybe he's thinking, I'll come in, run some hot laps, a couple hot laps, maybe pull away from these guys and break the draft that way. Well, it's not going to happen now.
Usually, this is a case where you can be faster with a friend. If you slingshot around each other, you can run slightly faster laps. If you time it right, you almost need a teammate, someone you can communicate with and knows what you're trying to do, or a driver that you trust really well. Our leaders go around one more time. Wow. Now, Tran wasn't behind for much of it. He tended to try and lead, from what I recall. Same thing with Vanderbilt. Burns is the only one, really, that I would think could have saved this much fuel.
Hallberg is the leader of all the cars who have pitted. Let's give you a time back to him as they cross the start field. He's 36 seconds back from the leader. And he's got about a 2 seconds lead on Engstrom. So Hallberg was really quick. Now, that doesn't mean he took enough fuel, though.
Yeah, and these guys pitted rather early. Remember, we're hitting 34 minutes right now. So 2 minutes ago, that means about 36 to go. So they might have the leeway. It's going to really come down to the end of the race for us to really see who got it right. Meanwhile, back up to our leaders here. Tran took it on the back stretch. Let's see if they come in this time by.
Okay, but Joe, here's something to keep an eye. Hallberg's last lap was a 23.7. Tran's last lap was a 24.4. So that's 0.7 of a second. So right now, Hallberg's back there running fast.
So maybe the undercut just might work, and these guys go for another lap. Pierre's cocky, however, has cried enough, and he heads in. Same thing with Neagle behind him. It looks like Joachim Lundgren and Liam Quinn are going to follow suit. So a lot of our mid-packers who have been able to go long are now finally coming in. And we see our lead pack one more time. Fan belt going around the outside. And this is where it starts to, as you said, become more like a game of chess. We're seeing guys calm down. There's only 3 up at the lead now. I'm amazed at how far these guys are able to go. They must have really been lifting.
Hallberg, again, that time ran a 23.2. Our leaders ran a 23.7. So there's another half a second. Vanderbilt in, and so is Tran, and so is Burns.
All right, where is Hallberg? You said he was the one lapping fastest, and look at the gap, 2.5 over Engstrom.
Yeah, he picked up half a second on Engstrom.
Tran hits his marks. That's going to be another critical part. Burns hits his marks. And
Hallberg through Indianapolis now just has the right-hander to go. He'll be on the main straight.
Here we see from above. Tran's still stationary. This dumps you right out, not quite into the racing line, but pretty close. Tran is away.
There goes Hallberg.
Oh, this is going to be very close. Very close. They're coming out side by side. Look at that. And those are our 2 leaders after the stop is done. So do they work together and try to keep the lead over Engstrom, who's 3rd right now? Vanderbilt 4th, Burns in 5th.
And Pierce Cockey has moved up to 6th position, although that kind of makes sense with the trouble that happened to Num. Num back in 8th, so we're going to have to watch this as Arrow tries to get around some of these guys. He's going to get Eric Neagle here pretty soon. Num trying to make up all the points he can. He has a 5-point lead in the standings over Hallberg, so every position he makes up is going to be important. And here goes Num around Neagle right now.
Neagle's not fighting him. Now here's what's going to be interesting, and here's what Num has to hope for, is that everybody realizes that Num is faster, and, well, probably faster, we should say, and just let him go on by and maybe ride his coattails. If anybody tries to fight him, that's going to be his worst fear, because it's going to hold him up and cost him time.
And usually in these races, we can say that they're all the Bushfink family, so everyone kind of behaves. But that's not the case right now with Hallberg up there running for Bushfink, of course. But Tran is with DBR.
Tran doing a really good job. Oh, and Adam Bradshaw is having a bad race. He just hit the wall coming out of Indianapolis. Looks like he fell victim to touching the grass and just spun himself off. There you can see severe damage. His race is over. Let's look at the replay so we can get a look. Now, if you're all four wheels off, you can keep the power on, but just 2 wheels off, Bill, sometimes that'll upset the car, as you saw there. And there really is not a lot of time when that happens because that wall to the left is so close.
And we have a new leader as Tuan Tran has made himself a way around Johan Hallberg. And honestly, Joe, Hallberg put up absolutely no fight. Almost like he was happy to be back there in second.
I think we're going to see slingshot moves here. I think Hallberg and Tran are smart enough drivers. They're not going to fight here with 28 minutes to go. They're going to wait till probably the last 2 or 3 laps to really start to strategically place themselves and figure out where they want to be.
Hallberg was in his box for 20.3 seconds. Tran was in there for 19.2.
Interesting.
And I'll give you the numbers of the guys who are there racing with. Vanderbilt was in his box for 24, 22 for Burns. So those guys up in front, there's a reason why they're up there, and that was because their pit stops were really quick.
I was just going to say, you said it was Tran that had the shorter stop, right?
But both of those guys out in front were both relatively a couple seconds faster than their competition. Even still,
I'm just wondering how much Tran was able to save, or did he short fuel? Because here we see he lets him by. The question is, if Tran, he's got to keep an eye on his fuel. He has to make sure that he got everything perfectly right. If he thinks that he's short, then he's got to hold behind Hallberg and play the fuel game, lift and coast, and let him tow him along. But we don't know if that's the case. He may have got it just right. He may know better than us that he's got enough fuel and he can fight to the end.
Burns, Vanderbilt, and Cocky had times of 23, 24, and 24 seconds. Those guys are running 4th, 5th, and 6th. The guys running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd had times of 20, 19, and 19. So there's your difference. So did they take enough fuel? Is there a reason why they're out there in front? Did they cheat to do it? We'll see.
All right, I know I'm the one that cares about this probably a lot more than anybody else in the audience, but Tran and Hallberg, 2 of my picks. In fact, I had them as 1-2. Those are 1-2 right now. The only one that I've got wrong that's looking like he's not likely is Eero Noom, but I wouldn't count anything out at this point. Noom could work his way back up through the field still.
Noom up to 7th. He's got about 3.4 seconds to get up to Pierce Cocky. Let's go back. Let's look at Burns here. He's in a nice battle running in 4th position with Vanderbilt. As they come up on the lap car of Michael Key, Michael doesn't know where to go when they're one on the outside, one on the inside.
He's holding station around the outside. Yeah, he's probably just going to let these guys through. There he goes. Nice job by Michael Key.
Excellent. If you don't know where to go straight.
Exactly, yes. That is the perfect thing you can do as a backman. Even if you're in a twisty section, keep your line. It sometimes is a lot worse to try and get out of the way in technical parts of the course. Let's see if, Oh, I thought I heard...
Oh, it's Michael Parks had some trouble.
And, Key, now did he pull... Let's watch the replay here. I'm trying to see if... No, Parks just...
He's ahead of Sancinelli, yeah. He was... And he bounced it back out onto the track.
Why was he sitting still for so long? Yeah, I mean, it's good to sit still, but... I mean, the racing line is to the outside there. He's so far along at that point, he really should have backed off the course. Or at least exited out, hit his escape key.
Yeah, the car wasn't going anywhere, but...
Yeah,
I can't blame a guy for sitting still.
Yeah, I mean, sitting still is a good thing to do, but at that point, he was still for so long, it was obvious that everybody was getting yellow flags. They knew that there was a car somewhere up ahead that was held up, and the racing line was in front of him. He was far enough to the left there. He could have backed out of it. I really think he held station for too long. If you're held station for that long, at that point, you might as well just, exit out, take a tow.
And that was Michael Key who got into it. We saw Michael do a good job of getting around or letting people around. Not good at getting around a stationary car.
Sad to see that happen to Michael after he was behaving so well with the leaders. Meanwhile, we're looking at Tran, second place now, still trailing Hallberg.
They're coming up on Edgar Sancinelli. Last car on the lead lap, running in 12th. That's a good finish for Sancinelli. Good race for him.
Engstrom is by himself. Let me look at his lap times here. He's 23.4, 24.1, 23.8. What about Burns and Vandenbelt? 23.3, 23.8, 23.5. I wonder if these guys are going to start to hunt down Engstrom. We could see a battle for the final spot on the podium at the end here.
Engstrom will give you a little distance here. 1.6 seconds back to Burns right now. I don't think they're going to be able to run him down if Burns and Vandenbelt keep running side by side like they are.
Yeah, but remember that slingshot that I was talking about before.
Right.
And we know that the Fanbelt's a smart driver. We know that Burns, we watched him in the first part of the race. Burns is very much a smart driver. He kept out of all that mess and saved fuel for a long, long time. So I think these two are going to catch them. I think they're going to slingshot each other.
That interval is 1.4, so just from the little bit we were talking, he knocked off a couple tenths. The leaders get around Sancinelli without problems. It's Tran ahead of Hallberg right now with 23 minutes to go. Vandenbelt ahead of Burns for fourth position.
Now, how about Pierre Kaki? That's sixth place right now. He does have Aeronum hunting him down, though.
Yeah, Numa's coming fast. He'll be there probably within a lap or two.
And look at Lukel. Lukel's just smiling in that car thinking, I've got the best ticket in the house right now because Numa's just towing me along. Best laps I could do all day.
He's got a tiger by the tail, and it's taking him. He's going to take him right up through the pack.
There we see Lukel and Bray and DBR. And interestingly, Hallberg did not try to pass Tran this time by. I wonder if Hallberg is thinking fuel. Tran even goes a little bit wide on the... maybe he wants him to go by here? Lift? Yeah, he lets him through. I wonder if both of these guys are trying to think fuel.
I think they are. Tran racing like a matador there. Ole, come on through. And that's Hallberg goes back in front.
Oh, now that is an interesting situation. If they're, I'm not sure what to do there. If they're both thinking, I can't make it to the end, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. Like, I mean, what do you do in that situation?
In America, there's the old cartoon of Chip and Dale's. After you, no, after you, no, after you. They're two very polite chipmunks, and that's what's going on right there. Neither one of them want to lead. Probably because, both with fuel, and then you don't want to be in front on the last lap anyway.
All right, let's go back to our fourth place. Vandenbelt, 1.3. He was down to 1.2 at one point. I think they are reeling Engstrom in.
And with 21 minutes to go, they may be even thinking bigger picture than that. They are not that far away from the leaders.
Absolutely. Could this actually wind up being a fuel race? Could we see guys like our two leaders both run out of fuel and the battle be for first between Engstrom, Burns, and Vandenbelt?
I'm going to give you an interval right now from second place back to third. It's 3.3 seconds, so we'll watch this. But that's back to Engstrom. The bad news for your leaders is Engstrom is not going to be in third place much longer because here comes Burns and Vandenbelt, and they are flying.
Oh, it's down to half a second. They are gobbling them up. They are well within the draft now. Now they have got him, and then we got a three-car fight for third place. This is going to be good.
And as we watch this, I can tell you, we don't need to go there, but Cocky has been ran down by Num and Lukel. So Cocky about to lose two spots.
Now, I said that Num was going to come up through the pack. These guys are 10 seconds back from 5th place Vandenbelt, so that's a pretty tall ask. I don't know if that's going to happen.
But things are going to heat up here when we get to the last couple laps. He may pass them while they're in the alfalfa.
This is true.
And there goes Ingstrom now on the, look at the 3 wide. That's Burns in the middle, Vandenbelt on the high side.
And our director makes an interesting point. 2-car tandem is pretty fast. 3-car is a lot harder to coordinate. You're likely to be slower. So these guys could, we could see them not catch up to our lead pack here and actually fall back a little bit. Depends on how wise they are about this. And in regards to your point about, guys falling by the wayside, no, that definitely could happen. We could see guys fight way too hard on the last lap. But I always like to quote, it was either Scott Goodyear or Eddie Cheever, luck is a bad strategy. I wouldn't rely on them trying to take each other out.
Well, let's update you on that interval now. It was 3.3 from the second place back to Ingstrom. Now it's 3.8, but it's no longer Ingstrom, it's Vandenbelt, and Vandenbelt is certainly running a faster pace. So now we can really see if those guys have a chance. Still with 18 minutes, that's a long time, especially if the top 2 guys are worried about fuel.
That's where we're really going to be able to tell if these guys are short on fuel. If you see that gap between 3rd and 2nd start to come down, then yes, they are trying to save and make it to the end. But if the gap stays good, then these guys probably aren't trying to save. Now, whether that means they're short on fuel or not, you don't know, because they may not be paying attention, or they just, be saying, forget it, let's not worry about it, and let's go for it.
Vandenbelt ran the fastest lap of anybody last time, put in a 22.7. That was about a half-second faster than Hallberg, so Vandenbelt is on the move.
Roadside, we like to call that going purple. I wish that meant you were holding your breath, you're going so fast, but it's the timing and scoring usually signifies fastest lap as purple, so.
But he's not doing much. The gap is still 4 seconds. Meanwhile, up in front, they are behaving. Tran out in front right now.
This is where, as commentators, we need a little bit of excitement. And you know what, Bill? Maybe this is a good chance for us to go a little bit farther in the pack and give some guys some time, some screen time. Actually, Liam Quinn and Joachim Lundgren got a nice little battle going on between them. I think they got some lap traffic with them. That's Bastian Hausmann getting out of the way.
Hausmann running in 14th position. The battle there with Lundgren is for 9th.
Nice little top 10. And actually, I believe, is it top 15 get points in this series now?
It is.
Be top 10.
And these points are important there. Liam Quinn is the partner of Vandenbelt in that team championship. So anything that your partner can chip in there is good.
Absolutely. That's gotta be like being on the B team with Michael Jordan or something.
That's it. And just ahead of them, maybe we can go up to Errol Num right now, because I got a little bit of a nervous feeling there. Num and Lukel having a battle, and there's Cocky trying to jump in there.
I wonder if that's because they see the gap now between themselves and the guys in front, and maybe Lukel and Cocky kind of know that, like, we got nothing really to gain here. Let's fight Newham and have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, Cocky is 17 seconds ahead of that fight we were just looking at back there for 9th. Between Lundgren, oh my goodness, maybe go back to this Lundgren. What's happened is Bastian Hausmann in 14th position, 14th has gotten around those 2 guys. Lundgren and Quinn.
I mean, if Hausmann isn't putting them into a compromising position, he can try to unlap himself. I really don't know why he would want to. I mean, at this point, let's see, is there anybody he can actually... No, there's nobody up in front of him he can catch, so I don't know what he's doing. Meanwhile, actually, speaking of which, Wojciech Podolak, he said he was done, but apparently not. He's going to try and get out there, see what kind of points he can get. I guess there's enough guys that have run into trouble. He's going to try and get into the top 15 in points and see what he can do. So Wojciech Podolak back out on track, but all the way down in 21st, unfortunately.
Check back in on your leaders. Hallberg now back out in front. Tran says no problem. 14 minutes to go.
Gap between themselves and Vanderbilt is holding steady. These guys are about even, these two front packs, because it's 4 seconds still. That second pack being led by Vanderbilt, Burns in fourth, and then Engstrom in fifth. Now, interestingly, the gap between Noom and Engstrom is now down to 9 seconds, so they've chopped a second off. However, they got 14 minutes to go, and these lap times are about a minute and a half, so I don't think that's enough time. It's going to be very close if they can chop off about a second a lap. Quinn just got on the radio saying that he and Lundgren are actually waiting the fight, so those guys are working together, just confirmation.
As you talked about Noom, he ran the fastest lap of anybody last time. So he is moving.
Oh, and he's broke the draft. Cocky and
yes,
Neagle. Interesting. Now they're going to be able to catch him here heading down to Indianapolis. Yeah, look at them close up. He broke the draft quite a bit. But is it enough to try and get away completely? Maybe we can ride on board with Cocky and see how quick he's closing here. These next two corners are going to be critical. Here we hop on board now. Closes in decently. He's going to have to get himself a really good run. The front stretch also has a bit of a draft build, but it's not as significant as those other two long straights. Here's where Noom can make the difference. If he's good through the 90, really get in on the... Look, he's using as much track as possible, going way out wide through the grass, which is sadly gone now that they have repaved Watkins Glen. And I know it's my old school leanings are going to show, Bill, but it makes me sad that so much of the runoff in this track is now paved.
You know, Joe, and as the tires start to go away on these cars, they've been racing for a while. They don't take tires on the pit stop because it's not worth it. So the cars become a little harder to handle. That probably plays into Noom's hands as well.
Well, you know, I really don't know that they've got so much grip out there today, 88 degrees out on the track. I don't know that the tires are really going to wear a whole lot. I mean, they're going to have just a little bit, but it's so grippy, you're not going to really see guys squirming around and having trouble sliding a lot. Meanwhile, behind Noom, these guys have not dropped off. I thought they were so far back when we picked them up that, you know, they were done, but the draft is so powerful that they have closed back in.
That's the battle for 8th position.
Meanwhile, Noom down to 8.5 seconds. He's slowed down a little bit. He's chopped off another half second, but he's still gaining.
Well, what's happened is those guys that were racing, they kind of behaved a little bit up in front there. Vanderbilt up in front of Burns. Engstrom watching the whole show. Let's look up ahead there at Vanderbilt right now as he starts to go side by side. On the outside, there goes Burns on the outside, Vanderbilt on the inside.
It's interesting that Engstrom has backed off as much as he did. I wonder if he's, once again, he's getting smart here and saying, all right, if the 3-car slows us up, let's make it a 2-car with me just kind of trailing behind. Because he knows with 2 cars punching a hole in there, he can have an even easier time keeping up with these guys. So he really doesn't need to get up in the mix. And look at this. This seems to be exactly what's happening. Because there goes Vanderbilt back in front.
But keep in mind, when I was listing off those drivers that had really fast pit stops, Engstrom was one of them. That's why he came out in 3rd. Then he got ran down by Vanderbilt and Burns. So again, if he's looking to nurse it.
And these guys have lost half a second to our lead too, so...
Yeah.
Interesting. 10 to go, Bill. How many more different ways can we describe and talk about the draft in 10 minutes?
Tran out in front right now. I think those two guys have done a fair enough job of sharing the workload that they should be feeling a little better about their fuel chances. Of course, we'll talk to them in the post-race interview and find out if it really was a factor.
Who's the big question mark? Unfortunately, we have team radio, but we can't really tell what's going on, especially if guys are keeping quiet, which they have been. This is a very silent latter half of this race over the radio.
It's one of the poorest showings from Bushfink Racing. It's quite a while till you get up there. Ingstrom running in 5th. Of course, Hallberg is Bushfink, but usually we see them dominating the top 5. Not so much today.
I'll tell you what, though, Bill. If you you always like to joke about you being part of Backmarkers Anonymous. I feel like you would have had decent chances today. We only have 17 cars still running. Out of 31, that is almost literally half the cars gone. There's only 2 guys that aren't going to be in the points today.
Edgar Santinelli, first car 1 lap down, running in 12th. He's got to be happy with that one.
Yeah, Santinelli with a decent showing out there with that Italian-looking livery. Actually, let me check. Is he actually Italian? No, he is not. He is Northwest. He's American, actually. So he's up in the Oregon and Washington states, I believe.
Well, so is Mario Andretti. I bet you Italy really gets upset about that.
Well, I tell you, America's pretty happy to have lots of stats on the board thanks to Mario. So
yeah, no kidding. That's what I mean. He was, of course, born in Italy but raised in the U.S.
Well, hey, if Nico Rosberg can fly into the German flag, then I think Mario Andretti can fly into the American flag. So, meanwhile, still have our leaders up in front. Tran leading, Hallberg back to second. They've still got that 4-second gap that has been staying very steady over 3rd place. So, when you get about 2 to go, 4 seconds is enough. I think these guys are going to start fighting. And those fights, Bill, are going to be very interesting because it's going to be more like jockeying for position. You might actually see someone slow down depending on where you want to position yourself. We're going to see yet again, if you haven't really been paying attention, and boy, where have you been, if that's the case. There you see Hallberg slipstreaming past. You might want to be in 2nd place coming up to the white flag instead of in the lead. But that depends on if you think you can hold them off here on Indianapolis. Now let's watch and see what these guys do. Now, they might not be fighting completely, Bill, and see what Tran does here.
That's who ought this. Give a shout out to Daniel Kruger, running in 11th position. Just went Vanderbilt, Burns, and Ingstrom. Let him lap him. Nice job from Kruger.
Oh, and we were talking, commentators curse on Santinelli. He just went into the pits. What happened there? It's splash and dash, I think. Yeah, he did not fill enough on fuel. So that's going to move him down. Is that going to move him to 13th, actually? So, oh, no, he doesn't lose the position. He got lucky. Although he's got his teammate a lap down behind him.
He has 4 laps that he can to Dale Smith in 13th position, 5 laps down.
Oh, so he's got all that and then some. Darren Bouton behind him, his teammate, who was closing up. Those guys might be able to work together. A little bit of damage on Darren's car, though. And, sorry, Darren.
Jeez. Poor guy back there racing, not causing anybody any trouble. Joe gets him.
Put a little Bondo on it, send it back out.
Tran back out in front. He just got around Hallberg.
Oh, now, interestingly, down to 3.5 seconds, Burns to Hallberg.
Actually, now it's Vanderbilt who just gets around Burns. Ingstrom happy to watch everything
Almost
from
down to
fifth
3.
right
These
now.
guys are closing now.
3.1, here they come. It was up to 4.2.
What is going on? That was a big chunk to take out. Were Hallberg and Tran fighting? Were they side by side through some
No,
corners?
it's down to 3 point. Now it's 2.9. Here they come. I think,
Are they
Joe,
running out of fuel?
Yeah, as you get closer to the end, you get a better idea of how much fuel you have left. They've knocked off a second of it now. These poor guys are in a tough situation. Hallberg and Tran, they have to go fast enough to win, but slow enough to save enough fuel. Fuel is an issue. They're side by side right now.
Oh, and you can see them on the same screen now.
Burns and Vandal, exactly. They can see them.
Got some lap traffic ahead of him. Dale Smith, he's going to pull to the outside on the carousel. Just going to let him through. Wide berth on the exit there.
3 minutes to go. The interval is about 3 seconds.
And we got another splash and dash. Daniel Kruger. How many guys are tight on fuel? This is an interesting sign, Bill. We're seeing multiple drivers having to make it a two-stopper.
And I think I can safely say that Kruger was not on the throttle as much as Tran and Hallberg have been.
How many Scott Dixons do we have out there? How many guys can be fast and save fuel?
Another factor that we always like to talk about, something I don't like about timed races, is when you cross the start-finish line. If fuel is an issue, Hallberg and Tran don't want to go any more laps than they need to. But with only 3 seconds, it's kind of hard to play with that interval too much.
Well, I was just going to say, they're in a battle together, so they can't exactly slow down, because if one of them slows down to try and, get the checkered flag early, the other one's going to take advantage of it.
Tran back out in front.
Now that it's stabilized once again, it's about 3.5 seconds between that pack and the lead 2. So maybe just a strange anomaly. I'm not sure what happened there. Down to 2.5 minutes to go, Bill. It's getting tight.
Tran in front. Hallberg chasing intervals 3.3.
Right, I think this is going to be penultimate lap here. This is where these guys are starting to think, where do I want my car? Do I want to be in second? Do I let him through?
And just to update you, Cocky has gotten around Nome. Cocky up to 6th spot.
This has been a bad day for Noom. I really think he would have been up with those top guys if he hadn't have messed up his pit stop. And I'm not sure if maybe he'll come in to talk to us later, but we'll have to pay attention and see what exactly happened to him, if it was a speeding penalty or what.
All right, the leaders have decided that we're going to let Hallberg take it right now.
It's back. They've cut off half a second. It's down to 3 seconds between the leaders and the second pack.
Yeah, first time it's been under 3 right now. 2.9, 2.8.
I think they've got enough of a buffer. They don't need to worry, though, unless they make contact. All right, what is Tran going to do? Tran lifts. He stays in second. I'm assuming he's going to stay that way down the front stretch. Here they come around the final turn. White flag coming out, Bill.
Hallberg takes them across, and this will do it with 48 seconds to go. This is our last lap. The runner-up in the point standings, Johan Hallberg right now leading Tran, the Season 6 champion. They are stalking each other. Tran looking for a spot. It's 3 seconds back to Vanderbilt. Unless they run out of fuel, Joe, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Hallberg out in front.
Tran even gave him space. Look at this.
Yeah.
He's giving himself as much momentum as possible.
Taking the defensive line is Hallberg. He's going to make Tran go around the outside through the carousel. Now Hallberg tries to squeeze him. Tran gets the job done. Is he going to be able to close the door? He does before they get to 5.
What's going to happen down to Indianapolis? I don't know if this stretches long enough. They're going to have to go side by side if he does anything. Here he goes.
Tran making the car wide. He's going to give up the inside to Hallberg. Hallberg's going to have the run as they go to Indianapolis.
If he can hold the outside here, and he's going to try to keep the inside for the final corner.
He's done it. He's got a chance at the inside. Tran in the preferred position as they go through 7. Get close. They touch. Hallberg is in the wall. Hallberg keeps it going straight. He's going to try to limp it across. Tran's going to win. Hallberg stays on the throttle. He's got it going. Is he going to get? No. There goes Vanderbilt. There goes Engstrom and Burns. Hallberg is going to finish 6th.
Oh, heartbreak for Hallberg. Heartbreak for my prediction.
Let me correct myself. That's 5th for Hallberg, but he did his best to stay and keep his foot down.
Interesting that he stayed in the grass. I want to take a look at this as we ride on board. You know, I'm going to say racing incident because even though we've got Tran washing up just a little bit, it's so tough to hold down on that. And if anything, I say Tran did a really good job trying to hold down, and Hallberg could have given him just a hair more space. But like I said, in my eye, Bill, that's racing incident. That's last corner stuff.
Oh, it's the last corner, yeah.
You gotta race hard there. You can't blame either guy.
Reminded me of the Indy race. Was it Hildegard? Is that where he had to keep it on? Where
Hildebrand, yeah.
Hildebrand, yeah.
The infamous first driver to lose it in the final corner. I was there. I was in turn 4 to watch him do that.
What we're going to do is take a short break. I can't wait for interviews. We'll come back. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll be back to do a rundown the entire field, driver interviews and closing credits. Be back in a few. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel. This is the post-race show for the Absolute Beginner League Formula Neagle, round 5 from Watkins Glen, and boy was it exciting, as is most often the case in this series. Let's go ahead and run down the entire field of 31 drivers. Your winner today, back. It's been a long time since he's tasted the victory champagne. I bet you it's extra sweet. That's your Season 6 champion, Tuan Tran. Second place finisher, Johan Vandevelde, as he watched David Burns got third and Mikkel Ingstrom in fourth. Those three drivers, Burns, Vandevelde, and Ingstrom, got past Johan Halberg after the final corner as Halberg kept his foot on the throttle. After getting together with Tran, Halberg comes across in fifth. Eric Lukel and Pierce Cockey in sixth and seventh. We didn't cover it, but they were able to come across in front of Errol Noem, your points leader. This is really going to shake up the point standings. Liam Quinn, a great finish in ninth, and rounding out the top 10, Joe, Joachim Lundgren.
Edgar Sancinelli managed to get up to 11th. We saw him in 12th earlier in the race. Daniel Kruger behind him in 12th position, 2 laps down. Then you get into the cars that had quite a bit of trouble for the day already. This early in the standings, Dale Smith, 6 laps down in 13th. Bastian Hausman in 14th. Carl Jansen in 15th. Michael Parks in 16th. And Darren Bouton in 17th. Adam Bradshaw finished in the 18th position, followed by Michael Key in 19th. Sad day for him after he was being so polite out on track. And Adrian Cruz, disappointment after leading a number of laps, finishes in 20th.
The same disappointment falls to the driver in the blackjack position, Wojciech Podolzek, as him and Cruz got together. Cruz gets the better position in 20th, Podolzek in 21st. Newcomer Adam Olenson in 22nd position, followed by William De Silva. The double dozen spot goes to Henrik Bergman. Scott Brazier back there in 25th position. 26th and 27th go to a couple big names, Jonas Blixt and Vincent Bream. 28th goes to Scott Butler. 29th and 30th, Stefan Schmidt and David Tejeda. And then rounding out your field, 31st on a very, very, very long orbit was Frederick Neptune. Okay, Joe, I think you're going to be able to talk to our runner-up. Can we get in the fan belt?
Yeah, let's pull him in here and talk to him about how his race went on to second place. A bit of a surprise second place for Johan. What were you thinking when you came out of the final corner and you saw a green car just kind of slide along the wall?
I'm happy that you couldn't hear me, because the people watching couldn't have heard you guys like talk anymore, because I was screaming so loud, like yes, 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 like I'm still getting P2, I'm still getting P2. Like, now I never expected this. Where did I start? P12, P13, something like that, like totally in the back. And yeah, this is really, really surprising that I actually managed to get P2.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about that climb up to the front, because that is incredibly impressive. We managed to fail to notice that up until now. Did you kind of bide your time? Because I'm sure a big worry is losing the lead pack early on and watching them stretch away.
Yeah, exactly. So what I tried to do the first laps was get to the front as quickly as possible, and I think. In the fourth lap or something, I was around 3/4 tenths behind the people in front of me. I was P6 at that moment. And when you're after turn 1, when you're around half a second, 4 tenths behind the car in front of you, you get such a slingshot over the straight. So when we were on the straight, like 2 people went to the left and 3 people went to the right, and they just created a gap for me in the middle. And I just shot from 6th to 1st, like in one move, and that basically meant that I could at least try to stay on front. Like of course, for a big part of the race, I was driving 4th, 5th, but I was within 1 second. So it was essential to get to the front as quickly as possible, because you saw it with several guys. Like, I don't know what happened with Eero, for example, but Eero like lost a draft or something, and like he couldn't reach it anymore. And we all know that Eero is quick enough to beat everybody on track. So yeah, it was just essential to stay in front that way. And yeah, I'm really happy it worked out in the end.
Yeah, we think that he actually might have had a speeding penalty. We were hoping that we could ask him, but I don't blame him for not wanting to show up today. Now, we had a number of drivers that came in for a splash and dash at the end. Was fuel ever a worry at any point?
No, it was not, because the first part of the race, I was 4/5 all the time, and that means that, for example, after the carousel until like the left-hand corner, several laps of the race, I didn't even touch the the throttle in that straight. I just let the car roll from the carousel because I was like stuck behind other people. So I saved so much fuel there that fuel was never an issue for me. I could save enough at the beginning.
Very smart driving. Well, again, congratulations on getting a second place out there, even if it was unexpected. You worked hard for that and you earned it. Nice race today.
Thank you very much.
And I believe Bill is ready to talk to our third place finish. We don't have Twan in here yet. Twan, if you're listening, come on and talk to us. We'd love to talk to you about that win, especially that last corner. But meanwhile, Bill has David Burns' first podium of the season for him.
David Burns, congratulations. What an intelligent race you ran.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was such an intense race, but Watkins is so much fun.
So let's talk about this race in sections. First of all, you're in that early 8-car battle. We noticed that you were there was a lot of excitement going on. It looks like the guys were having fun in front of you. Looked like you were happy to sit back there, even with Aero Gnome came back to join you there.
Yeah, I must admit, I've never seen the back of Aero's car, so it was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, I saw them all battling at front, and I just thought, I'm just going to wait for things to calm down a bit.
And then we lost a couple. It was an 8-car train. Then you lost Podozek got in that issue that he had there with Cruz. So those guys left. Then you got 6. Then we noticed you led a few laps.
Yeah, I think that's actually a first for me. This is actually my first race with the Oculus Rift headset, and to be honest, it's made such a difference being able to judge distance so much easier.
So it's not so much that you're faster, but you just feel more comfortable racing in a group with the Oculus?
Oh yeah, completely. The ability to turn left, to look at the car at the left ear, to look right, it makes such a difference. I found so much more speed because of it.
Okay, now let's talk about the pit stop. You had a nice pit stop, so you were not worried about fuel after the stop?
I kind of was, but because of the Oculus, I've had to change my fuel strategy slightly. So I was using an automated program, so it was my first test of it. So I think I need to tweak it slightly because I put too much fuel in. I was a good 4 laps over by the end of the race.
Let's go ahead. Let's talk about that for a minute. So because you have trouble seeing, with the Oculus, you have trouble seeing the boxes, or how does it work?
Well, essentially, you can use iRacing's own black boxes, the F4, but it's never very accurate. So I've always used third-party programs to do it. I particularly like JRT. That's a really good application, but you can't use it with the Oculus because it doesn't overlay the Rift screen. So I've had to use something that automates it in the background.
I understand. That makes sense. Well, let's take you to the last corner. Didn't look like you were going to get a podium, and then all of a sudden you see Johan Hallberg in the fescue there doing a little lawn mowing. You must have been excited to see that.
Well, excited but sad. I never like to see anyone hit a wall or come together. It's never what you want in a race. In racing, you want to get past them, but I'm not going to say I'm not happy for getting a podium because of it, though.
That's a very good politically correct answer there. I was sad, but I'll take it. Hey, well, congratulations, David. We hope that you can continue the success. I don't have my stats in front of me. Are you racing? Are you a privateer, or are you racing on a team?
Part of DBR Rust. Rust because we're old and decrepit, but that's fine.
Well, this will help in the standings a little bit. Hey, congratulations. It was great to see you up there, and keep it going for the final 2 races of the season.
Thanks, guys. Great broadcast.
David Burns, your second place finisher today. Well, are we done, Joe? Is that all we have here?
That's it. Tran didn't come in.
Okay, well, I guess that's going to wrap. Let's see if I can actually find my script here. You certainly do not want me to do this ad lib. And where is my script?
Do you need me to start it out?
I may need you to take the whole thing. Why don't you close us out? You've done that before.
All right. We want to thank the Absolute Beginners League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. And personally, we thank the drivers in the series for putting on an incredible show. Awesome show today. Hard racing, but more important, very clean racing that we saw out there today. Thanks to the company's equipment and software they see on the screen now that we use on our broadcast. Original music you've heard today's broadcast is thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them. Thanks to, not thanks to me, thanks to Bill, actually.
Read the script.
Yes. And to our director, Amjad Yaman, and to Dougie Beard for his camera locations. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Absolute Beginners League and Formula Neagle will return in 2 weeks when the series visits the land of waffles for round 6, July 24th at Zolder. And boy, Belgian waffles are fantastic. If you've never had them before, really try them. For details of all upcoming events, go to globalsimracingchannel.com. And Bill, you know this next line. I'm going to let you say it.
For everybody here at Global Sim Racing Channel, it's time for us to go have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.